What it do? This your boy the Media Shadow, aka Mr. Honk Honkerton. On April 8th, 2019, it became incredibly apparent that the Portland, Oregon Police Bureau has officially entered Clown World. In the same day, the Washington County Sheriff's Department pulled out of a mutual aid pact with the Portland Police Bureau, Daryl Turner, the Portland Police Association president, wrote an absolutely scathing critique of the recruitment and retention crisis facing the Portland police, laying the blame solely at the anti-police sentiment being propagated by the policies and statements of Police Chief Danielle Outlaw and Portland Mayor/Police Commissioner Ted Wheeler. Multiple neighboring police agencies are rethinking helping Portland police except in major emergency situations. For 23 years, under a mutual aid agreement Portland had with Washington County and continues to have with other police agencies, each city or county agrees to be responsible for the acts of its own employees when they're assisting another agency. But a federal jury's $7 million judgment for battery and negligence against 2 Washington County tactical officers last year spurred the county's reassessment. Members of Washington County's tactical negotiation team wounded a North Portland man, Adalberto Flores Haro, in 2012 while helping Portland police serve a search warrant at a nearby home. The senior assistant counsel for the Washington County State Sheriff's Association also cited particular concern about how Portland represents its officers. He said, in some cases, the city has reserved its right not to pay for an attorney or court judgment against an officer. 7 days after Washington County pulled out, Clackamas County Sheriff Craig Roberts asked his county's counsel to weigh in with a written opinion. In a February 21st email to his staff, Roberts said he was seeking the opinion because, quote, because of the litigation many of us find our agencies in after rendering aid to the Portland Police Bureau, often regarding crowd control matters, unquote. But why would Portland be so desperate for neighboring law enforcement officers to come assist them? It's the most populous city in the state of Oregon. Surely they could just hire more people to patrol the streets if there's a need, right? If you were interested in a career in law enforcement, would you want to work in Portland, Oregon under Ted Wheeler and Chief Danielle Outlaw? These two seem crazy eager to throw their officers under the bus to appease the far-left crazies in order for Ted to keep getting their votes. Let me run you down a short list of the anti-police sentiments expressed, absurd unofficial policies in place, and red-hot political divisiveness the police have had to deal with in the past few years. Number 1. Regular violent protests that the police are forced to stand in the middle of and then are blamed when they use standard riot control measures to disperse only one side of the crowd, aka the side that's throwing things like concrete, fireworks, bricks, and glass bottles full of piss and shit. And yes, they really do that. Number 2. Ted Wheeler and Danielle Outlaw have a habit of meeting with the families of criminal suspects that were shot and killed by officers in the line of duty prior to a full inquest having taken place. Which, at that point, nobody knows whether the officers acted properly or not. Number 3. Ted Wheeler waiting 38 days until Danielle Outlaw forced his hand to disband the disgusting illegal protest outside of the Portland Federal Immigration Control and Enforcement Office, despite numerous 911 calls, and the act of blocking entrances to federal buildings being a crime. Number 4. Ted Wheeler's proposal to hire unarmed, unsworn officers to respond to non-emergency calls, which he procured the money for by eliminating the mounted horseback patrol in the city's budget. We get it, you don't like guns, but nobody's going to want to be a cop in America if they don't have a way to protect themselves, and having armed people keeping the peace and dealing with criminals is why we have cops in the first place. Number 5. Ted says he never gave the stand-down order, but police watched as Antifa and BLM, without a permit, protested Patrick Kimmon's death by police by blocking and directing traffic in downtown Portland, which endangered both drivers and pedestrian lives and ended up causing numerous injuries and property damage. Number 6. Ted called for a third-party inquest into the text communication between Officer Jeff Naya and Joey Gibson of Patriot Prayer due to a foolishly perceived inappropriately friendly relationship between the police and what some deem as a far-right racist group. This is despite the fact that the same officer 1 year before had been reaching out to a far-left protester for the same purpose, but she was discovered by her group and ostracized and sent death threats for speaking to the police at all. But does Ted care that this policeman was just doing his job to the best of his ability? Does he understand that there's going to be a perceived asymmetry of police bias when one side is willing to talk to the police and the other side isn't? If he does understand, he sure is keeping that one close to the chest and playing real dumb. Number 7. Portland is a festering hellhole of homeless encampments, drug addiction, trash, filth, mental illness, and far-left political violence. It currently has far fewer beat cops than it needs to respond to violent crimes, and those violent crimes are increasing at an unnerving rate. The City Budget Office reports that Portland has 120 vacant officer positions that need to be filled. The shortage of beat cops comes as the Bureau is flooded with a rising number of calls for service. Call volume increased 25% over the last 5 years, according to the Budget Office. The end result is that the officers are scrambling to respond to 55,000 more calls this year than in 2013 to 2014, but with roughly the same number of police officers. For context, the total sworn force of the Portland Police Bureau, including the current vacancies, is equal to 1,001 full-time positions. Of these, about 351 patrol the streets, while another 294 are in command or supervisory positions. 20 are on leave or assigned to light duty. So far this year, police have hired 22 new officers, which is significantly less than the past 2 years. The Budget Office expects another 30 to 50 retirements later this fiscal year. Ted, Danielle, I'm begging you. This madness doesn't have to continue. Police forces are comprised of the kind of people who want to make this once beautiful city safe, and all they ask in return is to know that you fundamentally have their backs. You've both put them all in danger by acting as if the crazies complaining about clear-cut, justifiable police shootings have a point. You've made it clear that breaking laws will only be punished if they're laws you agree with, while you justify this by claiming that it's a humane strategy to not inflame tensions. Look around and tell me the tension isn't already at an absolute maximum. Look at how the community listening session you held about Patriot Prayer text nearly erupted into riotous violence as your leftist constituents screamed at you. These just simply aren't reasonable people. You need to start treating them like what they are. Foolish children. Say it loud, say it often. Not every cop is a secret murderer. Those kinds of cops are pretty fucking rare. Tell these nutjobs for once you're fucking wrong, now shut up.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows.
Hi guys, Media Shadow here. I'm trying to grow the channel and hopefully get more than one video out a week. So if you like what you've seen, please give me a like, comment, subscribe, share, or drop me some coin on Patreon. I've left a link to my Patreon in the description of the video. Thanks! Oh yeah, you like that.